Hey there, everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you about an incredibly important topic near and dear to my heart. It's called daddy dates. Now, today my wife and I actually took our 21-year-old daughter out to lunch. Now, that doesn't seem maybe too special, or for a lot of people we do that, right? We go to lunch and, depending on what you do for your children or your spouse on their birthday, this may not be anything incredible. But what it did for me is help remind me the importance of a lifetime of dating my children. Now, I have spoken on this on many occasions on various platforms and blogs and things about what you can do, but let me tell you the importance. And then we'll talk about some ideas. It is incredibly important at this day and age that you have connection with your children. Because if you want that continued connection throughout their adult life, you have to build it now. So many of my clients struggle with, hey, the time is slipping away. The time is, just running out of being in my children's life. And I want to make the best of it. Well, going to the games and supporting the dancing and the school and all of that is crucial. It's important. But individual relationship, one-on-one with your child, if you want to nurture that, there is no better way than spending and making the time to be with that person. So we decided to do this a long time ago, my wife and I, that we would take our children out on some kind of special date. And so we call it mommy and daddy dates. And, they're adult children who still love this. Obviously, my daughter did not say no to going out to lunch for her birthday today. But we kind of rotate, and we'll take a month to spend specific time with the child and do something just with them. Now, we have 8 children. 8. So how do we do this? Well, number one, if we can make time for this, then you can. I know that for a fact. But it shows each of our children the importance that they are to us individually as a child, not collectively as a family. We love to do family trips. We've been to Costa Rica this year. We lived there for 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks. We did a trip to the East Coast, and we're planning some other things. Like, we love to do the trips as family. But to have that individual relationship, that time, you need to have one-on-one. So the mommy daddy date thing, we kind of rotate and spend, kind of a big hullabaloo. We spend maybe a little bit more money and more time on one child per month. Now, that's different than daddy dates by yourself with your child. I grew up, my dad coached my soccer team. He went mountain biking with me. He went on hikes with the scouts. He served in church and community, and was all the time involving me with service and other things. Like, we worked together. He would invite me to come to work with him for the day. Now, that might be an opportunity for you, but I learned this from my dad, that if I want to have a good relationship with my own children, I have to involve them. I have to make the time. So while I encourage the mommy and daddy thing, and I think it's awesome, there's a place, I also suggest and highly recommend that you spend one-on-one time with each of your children alone. Now, I don't have a very set specific, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. Just go do it. But here are some things that you might take into account. A, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be planned out for months and months. It could be spur of the moment that day. It could just be an opportunity that showed up. For me, I make the specific goal to make these daddy date times for each one of my 8 children who are living in the home to, at least once a month. So I'll maybe do 1 or 2 a week. And for the youngest, it might just be playing games at home and, just a little one-on-one time. Maybe it's a little bit of checkers here and there, and maybe you tell them, hey, if you beat me, I'll take you to ice cream or pay you $5 or something. And I had one time my 7-year-old daughter who just whooped me in checkers, and legit, like, beat me in checkers, and I had to pay her $5. So it happens. It's fun. And others just they want to go outside and play on the swing set or go to a park that they like going to down the road in town or go feed the ducks. It could be a little bike ride around the block a few times just with them, or to the neighborhood bike track that we have down the street. There are a plethora of ideas online that you could look up, like daddy dates, and again, you could be super fancy, and you could say, hey, I'm going to actually take you out on a fancy date. We're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to go to a movie, or we're going to go to a show or something that they enjoy doing. Fine, fantastic, do that. What I've found to be consistent over the years, though, is doing the things that they enjoy doing. There may be some times where, okay, I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to take you to do something because I'm going to introduce you to a play or a ballet or something that maybe they don't get the chance to see all the time or do. You take them to a museum by themselves, or they may not think of that. But I like to involve them and ask them, what do they want to do on these daddy dates? And as they get older, for example, last week we do things that maybe take a little more time and cost a little bit more, you may involve one or two of the children, kind of like a double date. So my boys, I have two boys at home right now, one who's on a mission for our church in Peru. The other two, I have a 17-year-old son who's now taller and bigger than me, and then I have a 14-year-old son. And they had shot guns with me a few times at a range. They've shot archery. So we decided to involve them and said, hey, how about us three go out up the canyon and go shooting sometime? They love the idea. So one of our daddy dates was actually to go to the store and purchase all the ammo, buy targets, and decide when we're going to go, right? So that was one event. I think I took one of my sons to go do all that, and I taught him about ammo. I showed him various types of targets, and came up with some ideas. In fact, it was there that I think it was my 14-year-old son said, hey, we could blow up some zucchini. So I'm like, that's awesome. We have all this zucchini. It grows like weeds here in Utah, and everybody, in the fall time is like sharing their zucchini with each other because we all have too much of it from our gardens. So we literally have this zucchini that is, or there was, because we blew it to pieces, like a good 3 or 4 feet long, and it's ginormous. And listen, if you're a green thumb, you know that zucchini gets too big, it actually doesn't taste really good. And we're plant-based. We eat everything that we can from the garden: tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers, bell peppers, etc. And we love that. But again, sometimes you just got to make do. So he's like, hey, Dad, what if we took some zucchini? So he took some twine, drilled a hole in the top of the zucchini, and tied it through, and we would hang the zucchini from the trees. It was a brilliant idea. In fact, if you can do this, excellent. But we didn't need to go to a range. We didn't need to pay for the range fees and all the other stuff. But we can go up the canyon here in Utah in Cache Valley. We went up Providence Canyon, and there's some wonderful mountain bike trails. But on the side, there's places that you can go and shoot skeet. You can shoot handguns. And we took my handguns, and we went up, and I went through and taught my sons, safety about guns and how to shoot and technique and various things. And we ended up finding some other targets of other people that have left. And I'm not a big fan of leaving trash, but we reused their trash. In fact, there was a bowling pin that was hanging from one of the branches, and we decided we would use that too. That was super fun. Blew that one in half. I loved that. That was fantastic. Some of you that aren't into shooting, just it's okay. It's all right. But most of us that have been out shooting, there's just something to be able to see something explode that's fascinating, especially to guys. Gals, if you're out there and you're shooting, that's awesome. I love that. I took my daughter, again, who's 21 today, and we shot before, and she wants to go shooting again. So it can be really, really fun as long as you're safe. So that said, we tied the zucchini up, and we put some targets on, we bought some paper targets, and we shot at the paper targets, and that was okay. but most of us really enjoyed shooting and blowing up the zucchini. And that was like the highlight. So we came back telling mom that we blew up zucchini, and she didn't think that was amazing, but we did. We had a great time. And my daughters, maybe, that are 12, 10, 8 years old, if I take them to go to a special place for a treat, like a dessert, something that they like to go to, for ice cream or something like that. Of course, we do non-dairy, but, we'll find a place that has that, plant-based option. And we enjoy that time together. It may just be, snow cones around the corner at the snow cone shack. It could be a drive. We've done all sorts of things. In fact, we were on a kick for a while where we did geocaching. You can actually download an app. There's plenty of geocaching apps out there, and you'd be amazed at what geocaching spots there are in your own area. Like, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands. Some of them are kind of like a free version. You can unlock some pretty easy free ones, and others you have to kind of upgrade and pay the premium price, and you can find the really cool ones that are hidden around. Some are on trails, some are right off the road, right? Some I've seen at busy intersections on the corner. So those are some great ideas. But again, the overarching is do things that they enjoy doing on the daddy dates. Do things that allow them the opportunity to have fun with you. Now, that said, let me give the psychological and then some of the relational aspects. When they connect with you, it doesn't always have to be fun, but when it is, your brain stores information that is traumatic and really fun in very similar place in the brain. You choose what memories you're going to save with your children. And if they think of time with dad as really fun, that's going to stay with them for a very long time. When my father passed away, a flood of emotions, a flood of memories came rushing back to me. Why? Because he had built a lifetime of memories. Now, I'm not saying all were good. I'm not saying that our relationship was perfect, but we had a really great relationship because he chose to begin very young the things that I'm telling you about. And it wasn't always just with the family. Again, it was work. It was fun. It was, mountain biking together. It was cheering me on. It was being my coach. Whatever you do, involve yourself in your kids' lives. And it doesn't have to be huge. It could be a half an hour, again, playing a game. It could be a couple hours long and spending a bunch of time planning this, shooting, range activity. It could also be that you decide to take a couple of days and actually go on a hiking trip or a camping trip. Or for some of my kids, we like to go mountain biking in southern Utah, and it's a good 6-hour drive and 6 hours back. And there's a stop along the way, and we typically go certain trails. But then we camp next to this awesome canyon, and we get to see the beautiful sunrise and sunset. And we get up and we ride our bikes for a couple of days, and then we come home exhausted, tired, eating a lot of junk food, but listening to really cool stories in the car. Like, we make it a very big deal, and because of that, my boys love it. Now, that said, think about what can you be doing? How can you be making this time with your own children? There's the relational component that I want to talk about. As you build these connections with your children, I told them the other day, my 21-year-old daughter, who's now returned back from her mission for the church from Sydney, Australia, she's, getting a job. She's looking at school options and going on dates and doing the next phase of life. And I made sure to tell her, like, hey, just because you grow up and move away someday doesn't mean that I just might show up one day and say, hey, I'm taking you out on a date. Let's go. My almost 12-year-old daughter thought this was hilarious. She just couldn't imagine. I'm like, this is what I plan to do. I want to be in your life. And a good friend of mine, Mark Ogletree, just released a podcast about how you stay connected with your adult children. It's through activities. It's through taking them out to lunch still. It's through going maybe even out of town with them. having an activity that you can do, like going on a cruise with the adult children in your family, going on a vacation. I know families who make this a high priority, that even when they go and get married and move out, they're invited on the family activities. Not just a family reunion where you come sit around a campfire, which are great. I love those. But going and doing something together. It creates memories. And not only that, but opportunities to connect. Think about before you were dating your own spouse. What did you do? Well, you couldn't wait to talk to them. You couldn't wait to go do the next thing, the next date. And obviously we're talking about romantic relationship. It's obviously different because there's connection and commitment and things that you eventually are leading up towards marriage. But that said, think about how special that was for you just to connect, just to give and delve into that person's life and get to know them better. Are you getting to know your own children? They're growing, they are changing, and they're developing in ways that is hopefully very natural. And through the next stages of life, you will want to be there. But if you just do a few things and you hope that the rest of the life they're going to come back to you for advice, for this, the other, it may not ever happen. We've got YouTube. When I sit down to now repair my own appliances at home, I'm a big believer in the home things I do myself, or I teach my children, and we do a lot of that at our home. Business, I outsource and I delegate, right? So if I'm at home and I'm fixing my washing machine, I can go onto YouTube, and YouTube can show me exactly how to do it nowadays. I don't have to call grandpa or my uncle. Or my dad's passed away, and honestly, I probably would still call him even though I had YouTube, just to give something to talk about and keep that connection. But nowadays, quite honestly, Ask Jeeves, if you remember that website and all these other things, they kind of replaced grandpa. They kind of replaced calling dad and asking for advice and doing these things. So what are you doing proactively to keep that relationship? You've got to open those lines of connection. I can remember now as a child, thinking about this through my child's eyes, going to work with dad, wasn't there to be his little helper. He would introduce me at the door, and I was like 10, hey, I brought my little helper today, is that okay? And everybody's like, of course, come on in, and we'd come in and repair sinks and showers and toilets and other things that, plumbers did. And I learned a lot. I learned about the trade, and now I haven't had to literally hire a plumber in, being an adult and owning homes for the last almost 20 years. It's been an incredible blessing for me. I've even helped other people with my plumbing skills. But that I don't think was the real point. I think dad brought me to work so that he could ask me, hey, how's math going? Hey, talk to me about the girls you like. Or, what sports are you doing? And he'd be fixing stuff while I'd be chatting away with him. And he knew that time was precious. So seeing it through my eyes, seeing that my dad was doing this for me, I just thought this is what dads did. I just thought that this is what you did as a dad. So I've always made that part of our relationship and connection. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about this. Daddy dates, daddy dates, daddy dates. If you're mom, it's mommy dates. But I've primarily male audience. Go and date your children. Mommy and daddy dates takes a little bit of different twist. We like to do this, again, like I said, monthly and make it kind of a bigger deal. And we typically like to surprise the kid, the child, even the young adult child. So we like to, typically not let them know as an element of fun, as an element of surprise. And they try to figure it out, and we never tell them because that's against the rules. But we've done concerts and movies, and we've done adventures. We've done, miniature golfing, hiking, all sorts of things that really then allow the three of us to connect. And that's been a super important and a wonderful aspect of parenting. I suggest both. Do both. But if you can at least start with daddy dates, start with daddy dates. Talk to your wife, spouse about mommy daddy dates together and make those activities part of what you do if you can, because that will strengthen the three of your relationship together. It's a wonderful time to be a parent. And as a mentor of mine always says, it's okay if you learn something new to begin it again. Don't shame and blame and have guilt that, oh, I never did this and my kids are gone. And start it now. Even if you have adult children, call them up. Hey, I'd love to take you to lunch. What? Surprise the heck out of them. Show up at their door and give them a gift and say, I just want to hang out with you for a minute or two this evening. If you can't do that, call them. Do whatever you can. And one day I know that my kids are going to be spread around, probably with jobs and living at various places, and I'll just jump in my airplane and fly around and get to visit with them, and they know and they expect that to happen. But as you do that, again, psychological connection, emotional connection between you and your children will be incredible as you build a lifetime of memories and relationship that hopefully will last for you guys through eternity. Hope you enjoyed this little episode today and would love your feedback. Follow us for some great content, and we'll talk to you very soon.